Odio O is a warrior that hits dark with his sword attacks and damages allies and himself. He can also guarantee crits on himself whenever he's below 75% HP, which his main skills bring him to, meaning he'll always be guaranteeing crits basically. He also has a super strong buff where he takes 50% of the front row's health, then gives them guaranteed crits and 20% damage up, plus recovers 1 BP just to top it all off. One thing to know is that self-damage can't drop your health to 0, so by making Odio O have very low speed, he can move after the enemies, making the damage Odio O does not matter. The one problem, however, is his 9-hit is a 1-hit that adds an extra hit for every character he takes HP from, but he can only do that if they have at least 60% health, so if they're lower than that, it won't work on them. I'm going to go over his upgrades as his TP and 6 stars were recently released. Sadly, they're a little underwhelming though. His TP skill is an AoE 120 to 220 sword attack that hits dark and takes 80% of every party member's HP if available to increase the power by a max of 5 times to 1100 power. This skill has 100,000 damage cap up and is limited to 2 uses a battle. It does have 100,000 damage cap up, but it doesn't change the fact that this is a 1-hit move. Plus this and his 9-hit both don't work with his TP support skill, which I'll go over here now. Basically, when his role partner is incapacitated, not just not there, but specifically dead, Odio O gets 1.4 times damage when critting rather than the normal 1.25 times. That's pretty nice, seeing as he's always critting, but now his TP skill is only 990 power and his 9-hit is now an 8-hit. Extra hits over damage is always better. I guess with his TP skill it may not matter since that move will pretty much always cap, but that's still a problem. It's a good AoE damage move, but it's limited to 2 uses, which is kind of dumb, seeing as it's not actually that crazy strong anyway. It's just big easy damage. Here's a damage comparison. His 9 hits versus his 8 hit with a 1.4 times crit damage multiplier. About 11,500 times 9, which is 103,500. Not bad. Now we'll do the 8 hit. There's the crit damage multiplier up. About 12.7 times 8, that's almost 102,000, slightly lower. The thing about the 1.4 times multiplier is that all his damage will be stronger, so you'll probably be doing slightly more damage off break if you're using the 6 hit. However, you'll be losing a hit on his 9 hit for breaking, plus a whole character slot will be gone, which just isn't worth it. Anyway, enough of that. Time for his 6-star upgrades. His 6-star upgrade makes his AoE 2-hit sword that hits dark also have a medium chance to apply bleed, poison, and blind. How wonderful and useful. That's not an individual chance for each, by the way. It either applies all 3 or none. I'm thinking this has to do with Odio S's TP support skill that gives sword and dark resistance down when an enemy has 16 icons, but yeah, what a waste. Lastly, his EX skill, which is a little hard to use, but actually is pretty nice. His EX skill is an AoE 1 to 4 turns of being unkillable, but also applies his role partner with a 2-turn death countdown. It has 1 use and unlocks on turn 5 and onwards. This helps with killing off his role partner, plus just makes your front row unkillable. It's pretty nice unless you don't want your role partner dead. There are workarounds for that though. Probably his best upgrade, which isn't saying much. Sad because Odio O is such a cool character. He's still very strong however, and these are just more a cherry on top of a good character. Now I guess I'll go over the real overview, huh? I'll just mention I don't have Odio S, so I can't give him an overview. Sorry. Odio O has some great damage and super high base physical attack. With an AoE 6 hit and a single target 9 hit, he's also a great breaker. And guaranteeing crits just speaks for itself. I don't use warriors often, so I don't actually use him often, but that doesn't mean I think he's bad. He's not. It's suggested not to take speed nodes on him, but I have them taken because in the Japanese version you can turn off speed nodes. I don't know about the other versions. You do want him slower than the boss because the damage is dangerous to do to yourself. And normally it doesn't matter because regen basically full heals you, but in a half healing wave battle, the self damage actually can make a bit of a difference. He has 3 skills that you'll basically be taking everywhere. His 9 hit, AoE 6 hit, and the AoE buff if I didn't make that clear before. I think his main draw is the fact that he can give guaranteed crits and 20% damage up to basically any team he's in. He's also super easy to use despite his gimmick. Just use his skills and call it a day. The only trouble you may have is his 9 hit having an HP requirement. But even then, if 2 or so characters have below 60% HP, you'll still be doing a single target 7 hit. The other problem you may face is SP, which is always a quick fix, especially since he doesn't need damage cap up. You have room for the SP regen artifact maybe. There's really not much more I can say. He just works. He does good damage and breaking, can make everyone else do great damage, and now can make everyone unkillable. As for pulling him, again, don't follow this like it's law, please. It's just to maybe give you a hand on deciding what you want to do. He's a good target to go for, and Odio S is also good to get offhand along the way. If you're hurting for rubies and don't think you can afford him, don't beat yourself up over him. Warriors end up falling off just a little, and like I said, I don't use them all that much, just because I don't use swords much. Oh, and by the way, don't forget that this is coming from someone who knows pretty much nothing about the state of the English version, so take that how you will. To summarize, Odio O is a warrior that hits dark with his attacks and has high hit counts, damage, and quite the impressive buff. He has a gimmick where he deals damage to allies that's actually very easy to work around, making the gimmick hardly even existent. His upgrades are somewhat lackluster, but that doesn't take away the fact that he's just quite strong in general. And we're done. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a better grasp on Odio O and that I may have helped you decide, and I hope to see you again in my next video.